Imagine a medieval arranged marriage between two rival tribes that not only prevented a war, but created the most powerful empire in history. This isn't a fairy tale. This is the true story of Malhun Hatun and Osman Ghazi. While European nobles were marrying for land and titles, this extraordinary woman was about to become the co-founder of an empire that would span 3 continents for over 600 years. But here's the twist. What started as cold political strategy became one of history's most legendary partnerships. Her name was Malhun Hatun, and she proves that behind every great empire, there's often an even greater love story. Today, I'm going to tell you about the woman who turned a strategic alliance into the foundation of the Ottoman Empire. By the end of this video, you'll see how one brilliant political marriage changed the course of world history forever. Ready for medieval Game of Thrones, but with a happy ending? Let's dive in. Picture this. It's 1280, medieval Anatolia. Think Game of Thrones meets The Last Kingdom. Dozens of small Turkish tribes fighting for territory, while the Byzantine Empire watches from their fortified cities, hoping these barbarians will destroy each other. Among these tribes, two stand out: the Kayu, led by young Osman Ghazi, and the powerful Germian Beylik. These aren't just random nomads, they're sophisticated warrior societies with their own armies, territories, and ambitions. But there's a problem. Their lands border each other. Their warriors clash regularly. War seems inevitable. Enter the most brilliant diplomatic solution of the medieval period, a strategic marriage that would make Machiavelli proud, centuries before he was even born. Malhun Hatun wasn't your typical medieval bride waiting in a tower. Born into the Germian nobility, she was educated in politics, trained in diplomacy, and, like most Turkish women of her time, knew how to defend herself with weapons if necessary. Think Marguerite Tyrrell meets Arya Stark, but in real life. When the marriage proposal came from Osman's tribe, this wasn't just about uniting two people, it was about uniting two military powers. Malhun understood exactly what was at stake. This marriage could either create the greatest alliance in Anatolia or become a political disaster. But here's what makes her extraordinary. She didn't just accept her role as a political pawn. She transformed it into something revolutionary. Most medieval marriages were about what the bride brought to the husband. Malhun Hatun flipped this completely. She negotiated what both sides would gain. Her conditions for marriage weren't about jewelry or palaces. They were about military alliance, trade routes, and shared territorial expansion. She essentially wrote the first international treaty between their tribes. This is medieval realpolitik at its finest, making modern diplomats look like amateurs. The marriage contract included joint military campaigns against common enemies, shared control over conquered territories, economic cooperation and trade partnerships, combined resistance against the Byzantine Empire. This wasn't just a wedding, it was the birth certificate of the Ottoman Empire. Here's where the story gets incredible. What started as calculated political strategy gradually became genuine partnership and love. Unlike European arranged marriages where couples barely knew each other, Malhun and Osman spent months negotiating their alliance. They discovered they were intellectual equals, both visionary leaders who saw beyond their small tribal territories. Their first date was actually a military planning session. How's that for medieval romance? Osman realized he wasn't just gaining a wife, he was gaining a co-ruler. Malhun understood she wasn't just marrying a man, she was investing in a future empire. Once married, Malhun didn't disappear into domestic life like most medieval wives. She became Osman's chief political advisor and diplomatic representative. When neighboring beyliks needed to be convinced to join their growing confederation, they sent Malhun. When complex territorial disputes arose, her negotiation skills resolved them. When important alliances needed to be maintained, her diplomatic network made it happen. Think Eleanor of Aquitaine and Henry II, but with better communication and shared goals. Their partnership model was revolutionary. Shared decision-making on all major issues, division of responsibilities based on strengths, not gender, joint planning for long-term territorial expansion, combined diplomatic and military strategies. This is what modern business schools teach as collaborative leadership, but they were doing it 700 years ago. Together, Malhun and Osman transformed a small tribal confederation into the foundation of what would become the Ottoman Empire. Her strategic contributions were massive: diplomatic networks. Through her family connections, she brought multiple beyliks into their alliance system. Economic strategy. She established the trade routes that would later become the economic backbone of the Ottoman Empire. Cultural integration. Her approach to incorporating conquered populations, treating them as future citizens rather than enemies, became core Ottoman policy. Succession planning. She ensured that their children were educated not just as warriors, but as administrators capable of ruling a diverse empire. But here's the part that makes this story truly human. Malhun sacrificed the traditional female role of her time for something much bigger. While other noble women focused on family and domestic affairs, Malhun was constantly traveling, negotiating, and making decisions that affected thousands of people. She traded personal comfort for historical significance. Her letters, yes, she was literate, rare for the time, show someone deeply aware that she was building something larger than herself. "We are not just creating a beylik," she wrote. "We are laying the foundation for generations." Their partnership faced its greatest test when Osman began his famous conquests. Traditional medieval wives would stay home during military campaigns. Malhun did the opposite. She managed the diplomatic and administrative side while he handled military operations. When Osman besieged Byzantine fortresses, Malhun was negotiating with local populations to ensure smooth transitions after conquest. When he won battles, she was already planning how to integrate new territories into their growing state. This is medieval power sharing at its most sophisticated level. Here's the mind-blowing part. Every major feature that made the Ottoman Empire successful came from the Osman-Malhun partnership model. Diplomatic solutions. First, they always tried negotiation before warfare. Cultural integration. Instead of destroying conquered cultures, they incorporated them. Merit-based administration. They promoted people based on ability, not just birth. Economic pragmatism. Trade and prosperity mattered more than ideological purity. Decentralized power. Regional leaders maintained autonomy under central coordination. This wasn't just good medieval policy. This is what modern international relations experts recommend today. Want to know why this story is relevant now? Malhun and Osman's partnership model is exactly what modern relationship experts and business consultants recommend. Clear communication about long-term goals, division of responsibilities based on individual strengths, mutual support during challenges, shared vision for the future, respect for each other's expertise. They were doing in the 1280s what Harvard Business Review teaches today about successful partnerships. So why isn't Malhun Hatun as famous as Cleopatra or Joan of Arc? Simple. Her success was too collaborative. History loves individual heroes, the lone genius, the solo warrior, the single great leader. Malhun's story is about successful partnership, which is harder to dramatize, but arguably more important for long-term success. She proves that the greatest historical achievements often come from brilliant collaboration, not individual brilliance. Think about this. While European royal marriages were producing inheritance disputes and civil wars, this medieval Turkish couple created a partnership so successful that it lasted for over 600 years. Every Ottoman sultan for the next 6 centuries benefited from the systems, networks, and principles that Malhun and Osman established together. She wasn't just the wife of the empire's founder, she was its co-architect. Here's what makes their story timeless. It shows that the greatest love stories aren't just about passion. They're about two people who make each other more powerful, more capable, and more effective than they could ever be alone. Malhun and Osman didn't just fall in love, they built love into an empire. Their marriage proves that when brilliant people truly partner together, they can quite literally change the world. So there you have it. The incredible true story of how a strategic political marriage became the foundation of one of history's greatest empires. Malhun Hatun shows us that real power isn't about dominating others. It's about finding someone whose strengths complement yours, and then building something amazing together. Could modern political marriages learn from their partnership model? Could today's power couples create something as lasting as the Ottoman Empire? What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this story amazed you, you absolutely have to subscribe, because I'm revealing more incredible partnerships that changed history. Next week, the Viking power couple who conquered half of Europe, the Chinese empress and emperor who built the Silk Road, and the African king and queen who defeated 3 European armies. These stories exist. They're incredible, and they prove that history's greatest achievements often come from brilliant collaboration, not solo heroics. Hit that notification bell because you won't want to miss these forgotten legends of partnership and power. And if you know someone who loves epic love stories, medieval history, or just wants to believe that true partnership can change the world, share this video. Let's make sure Malhun Hatun gets the recognition she deserved 800 years ago. Thanks for joining me on this journey through medieval power politics and timeless romance. Remember, behind every great empire, there's often an even greater partnership. I'm your name, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep questioning what you think you know about history's greatest love stories.